the Nashville 2 podcast with your host, Edward Fox.
G'day, viewers and listeners. It's Ed Fox back with another great episode of Nashville 2. You're Nashville 2, so let's tell your story. If you know somebody out there needs to be a guest on my show, I'd love to have them. Whether they be mentoring after school, cleaning up trash in their neighborhood, own a business, or just a great person that has an interesting story, I'd love to have them on the show. Speaking of that, my special guest today is Dan Rogers, and Dan is the owner of Called Together Co-Networking in Murfreesboro, right, Dan?
That is correct.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for coming on the show. We normally start out with finding out, are you a Nashvillian or a Nashville Middle Tennessean, or are you an immigrant like most of us?
So I am an immigrant like most of us. I am from what I tell people when I kind of skirt around this question, I say I'm from the left coast. And if they drill down a little bit more, then we can figure out exactly that I'm from the Sacramento area or the San Francisco Bay Area. But I've been in the Middle Tennessee in Murfreesboro for coming up on 2 years at the end of this month. And it's been what I tell people is the best decision I've ever made in my life is to move to Middle Tennessee. And kind of the results are evidenced in that.
And I have to agree, because I'm the same. I'm in Franklin, Tennessee, and 30 years in Kansas. You can probably tell from the accent, but moved over here and in 90 and then got to Tennessee as quick as I could. That's what I'm telling everybody. So the reason I started this podcast, Dan, was to talk to people like you. You've moved to Middle Tennessee. You're in Murfreesboro. You're adding to the work environment. You're offering jobs. You're creating value. You're not just sitting back and letting everybody else bring that value to you. So tell me a little bit about why Middle Tennessee and what you're doing. And we have about 25 minutes. So okay. What you're doing down in Murfreesboro with Called Together Co-Networking.
Yeah, sure. So it's the reason why we chose Middle Tennessee is we looked at a map of the United States on a Sharpie, like it was a teacher kid how to learn the states. It's kind of like you can dry erase board, right. You can identify the states and the capitals, and we quickly erased like a whiteboarded out all of the top states, all of the bottom states, and all of the West Coast, Oregon and Washington, all of the Northeast. So we were left with like 3 states: Tennessee, Texas, and South Carolina.
Okay.
And if you take a look at a map longitudinally, where I'm coming from in Sacramento is almost exactly the same longitudinally as Middle Tennessee. The weather is similar. Like Sacramento gets to be 110, and here when it's 92 and 92, it feels like that's 110. So it was very, very similar, but we wanted to go for a tax-free state, a state that really values it really values freedom. That was important to us. My wife and I, she runs her business. I work for a company that can sell anywhere. And what we're doing down in Murfreesboro, I happen to, we all happen into our jobs. And I say this to people all the time who are in sales. I'm in sales. People end up in sales. They always wanted to do something else, and they wound up, that they are, compelling other people to buy stuff. And I was a resident or member of this co-working space. And I had my office there for my day job. And then the owner, and I expressed some interest about opening up my own co-working spot. And my wife and I were kind of slow playing that. And the owners came to us one day like, hey, we're moving to Eastern Tennessee. Do you want to buy our co-working space? And I said, if the numbers make sense, 100%. And they said, well, this is what we're thinking. I said, it 100% makes sense. And so we took the keys to the castle just a couple months ago, and we have a co-working space, 11 offices where we have members who have, they run their company out of these offices. They just need to get out of the house. Not everybody can work from home. There's dogs, there's UPS, there's kids. I've got a wife who works out of the house. And we also have a service where we have actual lockable mailboxes, and we provide a Google My Business service. So when we're talking about financial freedom and investors, everybody's always talking like, oh, I want that mailbox money. I actually get, I'm looking at my P&L right now. I actually get mailbox money. And We're going to be expanding here probably the first part of next year, and it's a great way for me to be mingled in the community of 11 different businesses. Actually, it's more like 40 different businesses if we consider our mail clients. And it's
and by mail you mean MAIL.
Yes. Postage service, receiving postage service. And it's when you go to college, or if we're out in the work world, you're looking for business to buy. Not everything needs to be complicated or sexy or has an app. I now am one of the most highly paid janitors in Middle Tennessee because I clean the trash. I take out, I clean the toilets, and I put, the paper towels back in there, and I make sure the lock is clean, and I make sure the lobby's vacuumed. And I have this little business. It's kind of cool.
So you've got 11 clients that have offices inside the co-working space. And I think it's great. A lot of people misunderstand how to do Google My Business. If they put their home on, they show their picture and their address, and it's just like totally the wrong way to do it. So having a mailbox that can give them a Google My Business address. And of course, we're not here to just talk about the business side of it, but folks, Dan and I are doing a podcast that's going to be as long as it needs to be to talk about business and selling. That won't be on the Nashville 2 platform. That will be on the Edward Show. And the Edward Show, Dan and I will talk about all aspects of business and selling, and that'll be coming up here in a couple of months. So be on the lookout for that. But today, the fact that you can help people in Murfreesboro get a mailbox that gives them an actual physical address. So if they're a lawn care company that doesn't have an office, or they're a pooper scooper company, or maybe they've got 50 agents, but they're all work from home, but they need a local address for Google My Business, SEO, all that sort of stuff, you can help them out.
Yeah, so we have and this is a perfect timing. We have a guy who tried to do the Google My Business at his house, and he actually has a home-based service provider. So he doesn't have people come to him. He takes his truck and his van, and he goes to people's houses. And
so he has a service area.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there's two ways you can do it inside the Google My Business, which is you have a service area, like you represent a county or a city or a zip code, or you can have a physical address. And he chose to have his house as his physical address. Well, the rules as per Lord Google so saith you're not allowed to have a physical address if people can't come to your house and do business with you.
Right.
And so we've been doing this for 4 or 5 years. Like a lot of other people have been kind of skating and skirting around the rules. And he had 85-star reviews. Like 85-star reviews is not like earth shattering, but to this guy, it was, hang on one second. I've got my notes in front of me here. It was like 54 more reviews than his competitor.
Wow. That's a huge difference.
It was a differentiator. Like this little business that he has was being run because people are searching, hey, I need this done at my house in Murfreesboro, not in Middle Tennessee, not in Franklin. Like he's not going to, his clients are not in Franklin. They're in Murfreesboro. And one day he gets a notice, your Google My Business is found to be in error and it is not correct. And all of his 80 Google reviews gone.
Wow.
Overnight. And so when we were talking about it, I always want to know, like, what is the impact of the impact? Like, okay, so we lost his reviews. There's also, we're unable to figure out the exact science of the algorithm, but he went from having 160 to 200 impressions a month, so called 180 impressions a month, where he knows that people went to his website from Google, down to 30 to 40.
Wow.
So that's like an 80% reduction.
Right. And I know, Dan, you have a lot of skill sets that we aren't going to touch on today, and sales and business being a couple that you've been a sales coach. You've helped a lot of people. I've listened to you talk to people for hours and help them just because you're a good guy. No cash exchanged hands. You want to be helpful. You want to help people. So it seems like this co-working space with the ability for them to get virtual mail, virtual business location is a really good option for a lot of people. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
So if you search co-working in Murfreesboro, you're going to find me. It's
okay, so folks,
that's what we're doing. It's called Together Co-working. It's very easy to find. Just do it. Simple Google search and you'll find us.
Okay, so Call Together Co-working. So if you're in Murfreesboro or close to it and you need a physical address to list on your Google My Business, or maybe you're looking for a virtual office place that they can send mail to so it doesn't come to your house or your apartment, definitely get on the phone to Dan. Look up Dan and his business. Now, Dan, one of the things we like to do on the show is we like to talk about hidden gems that you have found since moving to Middle Tennessee. So one of the things I started this podcast for was I love finding out about the little things I didn't know about in all the communities around the Nashville metro or the Middle Tennessee area, whether it be Portland and White House or down to Columbia or out to Lebanon or Mount Juliet. You know, there's so much value around the Middle Tennessee area. Lay some hidden gems on me that you guys have found in the 2 years that you've been here.
Yeah, so one of them is if somebody's into music, like the concert scene, obviously Nashville it's music town, right? It is where stars are born. You've got the Ryman, you've got Bridgestone, you've got Ascend, you've got the Franklin Theater, you've got all these places where people know to go see music. There's a gem, and it's down in Columbia. It's called the Mule House.
The Mule House.
It is this renovated, constructed, former, I believe it was either a schoolhouse or a church. I think a church. Right next to the former president's house, I believe it's Polk's house in downtown Columbia, and they have amazing concerts down there. You know, there's church congregations that meet down there on Sundays. It is really going to be like the Ryman of Columbia, the Ryman not Nashville type of place,
right?
Where really, really big stars are going through there. And you know, that's a good place.
I'm making notes.
Yeah, so that's a place to go to be entertained by other people. And I think that for my family, a place that we go to entertain ourselves is the Stones River Walkway. Like, it is a river walkway that's a couple miles from our house. The city of Murfreesboro has done a great where they've paved a trail right next to it. And there's all kinds of places that you can access it to just take your dog for a walk, go walk in the river, go catch a couple crayfish. You are out in nature. You know, it's obviously a great fishing river, but it's just a great place to go for a hike in town. And then in terms of other stuff, this is not new, but my whole family, we love the Assembly Food Hall in Nashville. It is a place, if you want great food and don't want to spend $50, $60, $90 a plate, you want to spend like $12 to $20 a plate on anything that you can possibly imagine. It's in the Nashville Food Hall.
You're talking my language, and I've not heard of this place before. This is why I do the show. Let me expand on that a little bit.
I can't believe you. So the Assembly Food Hall, it's two sides. It's probably 35 different restaurants that overlook probably 4th Avenue and Broadway, right behind Hattie B's Kitchen, right behind the Apple Store, and the little area there where there's like there's a couple boot places. Anyhow, you can get anything that you want there. And everybody can go get their own thing, come back at a table. There's 2 musicians playing at a time. There's 2 huge full bars. There's an upstairs restaurant that has like a rooftop level. It's a great place to be just off of Broadway. Like, we take our visitors from out of town. They're like, hey, you want some good food? Let's go to this one place. Nobody's unhappy. Never.
And it's open from like 11 till 11 a.m. to whenever it closes, right? 10, 11, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And parking?
There's parking all over the place.
Okay. That's the key for me going downtown. You know, it's like people go, oh, it must be great living in Nashville. You're on Broadway every Friday night. No. I'm sitting at home, or I'm going to the Waffle House, or I'm going to Garcia's. I am not driving downtown Nashville. But whenever the visitors come to town, of course, that's where they want to go.
I actually have something in front of me right now. I've got to pay a parking ticket from when I was in Nashville last. This is just
a city parking ticket or a private parking ticket.
I believe it's city, the Parkaloptis or whatever it is.
Okay. Yeah, I got caught up in one of those one time parking at a restaurant, and they said, "Oh, just park out the back." They didn't tell you had to actually scan it, and well, that's a private company. Evidently, it doesn't have really any power. So, but next time you park there, they'll boot you. So. So yeah, I'd love to do an expose on one of those types of parking companies that's not the city. Definitely pay your city parking bills.
Yes.
But I would look into these other companies, although it's not too bad, but it's interesting. So, okay. So you and I know we could both talk for hours and hours and hours on end about all the different skill sets you have. Anything else you wanted to cover? You've got about 10 minutes left.
For business owners who are not in Nashville yet, this is where businesses are. It is now going to be the place where businesses are going to be formed. Like the startups are coming here. It's a place where instead of Miami, instead of Austin, instead of the Silicon Valley, people are going to come here to start businesses. And so when people start businesses, they have to have the businesses that exist. You know, the 11 non-core business things I think that everybody has to have: the marketing, the HR, the IT. It's all here. You're into logistics. There's the trucking companies. There's the warehouses. There's the 1 million square foot freezers. So it is all here. And I'm going to be sounding like I'm a local Chamber of Commerce member here, which is Nashville is within a day's drive of like 75% of the U.S. population, which is true. And if you just take a circle of like 900 miles around Nashville, maybe it's even 600 miles around Nashville, it touches the eastern seaboards within a day. Texas is within a day. Chicago's within a day. Kansas City is a hard drive, but that's within a day. So most of the U.S. population you can reach in a truck in a day.
Right. Yeah, I drive from here to Wichita, Kansas, the old hometown, and that's 11 hours up through St. Louis and down into Kansas City and stuff. You're so right that there is so much availability here. And I have to tell you, some of the organizations that I've been able to connect with, the Entrepreneur Center in Nashville, great group of folks, a lot of stuff going on. So for those that are interested in the business side, which Dan and I really are a lot, business and sales, and, not all business is sales, but it actually is, right? Everything is sales. Just ask my wife. That was a sales job. Like I was batting so far, she's out of my league, but everything we do is sales. And so I think the organizations that I'm involved in just here in Williamson County Inc., which is the Chamber of Commerce, is fantastic. So if you're looking to move to the Nashville area and you're looking for how to make those business connections, I would look at the Entrepreneur Center. I'd look at the Nashville Chamber of Commerce. I'd look at the Williamson County Chamber of Commerce. Obviously, where you're at, Murfreesboro has some great organizations that help.
Yeah, the Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce is a powerhouse. It's one of the largest in the U.S. because it's Rutherford County. And so it incorporates Smyrna, Lebanon, Murfreesboro, Manchester, a few other places. But it is a juggernaut in terms of how big it is. And a lot of people think like, oh, I don't want to move to Nashville. Well, there's a lot of stuff that's not Nashville. And ultimately that's Davidson County. And for me in California, we have counties as big as states. So to be like part of a county is not that big of a deal. It's more like you rep your city. Here you rep your county. So Nashville is Williamson County. South of that is
Nashville's Davidson County.
Damn it. Okay, I'm still newbie. So, and then my county is Rutherford County. But we have these very, very manageable sized counties that if you want to get 30 minutes outside of Nashville, it's not Nashville. It is very, very, affordable is probably the best way to put it. It's very, very open. Couldn't be a greener place in the country than the Middle Tennessee area than right now.
And let's talk to hospitality, because if I had grown up here, if I'd been here most of my life, I could understand people from Nashville being upset with all the influx of different people coming into the Nashville market. but they have been so kind, so polite.
Yes.
Just have been a wonderful group. And I'm glad I'm here. I can tell you that, as I know you are too.
Yeah. So my common retort to somebody who says, "Oh, you're one of those other people coming from, and you don't bring your politics." It's like, hey, how about this? Tennesseans, Nashvillians, stop being so awesome, and people like me won't come here. How about that? And so that really puts them on their heels. They're like, "Oh, that's kind of funny." Like, this is a place where people who have the ability to move here, I'm telling you, they're not bringing their politics with them. They're coming here because of how it is, not to evangelize, where they left. It's not the way it's working.
Right, exactly. And I tend to find that, we've got, Jim McCarthy, who does the What's Your Problem podcast, business podcast here in Middle Tennessee, and he's in our networking group, and he's from New York originally, right? Grew up in New York. And he says a whole different thing. The first time he walks in and the girl behind the counter says, actually asks him how he's doing and actually means it, And when another friend from New York came down, he was saying on his podcast the other day, he's saying how he had asked the girl behind the counter, who's very Southern, what she thought of the new CEO. She goes, "Well, he asked me how I'm doing, and then he keeps walking. He doesn't stop to listen to what I want to say." And I love how open people are to have conversations. Yeah. The Nashville, the Tennessee market. I've gone up to Knoxville. It's good too. But I have to tell you, I love Middle Tennessee. And I think we've maybe given them enough of a shout out. And you're right. If they're less awesome, less people would come. But I'd never thought of it like that.
You can use that one anytime.
Thank you very much. Well, so I'll do this, right? So, my friend Dan told me this. That's the first time. Someone told me this. That's the second time. And as I've always said,
absolutely, that's a good one. I'm gonna use that one as well.
So people.
Here's one more for how friendly people are in Middle Tennessee. People will cause a traffic jam, and sometimes they cause traffic accidents because they're so friendly to let somebody come in. Like they'll slam on their brakes, put it in reverse so that somebody can actually get in front of them. You can cause kind of some issues on the freeways and the roads, but it is an incredibly fun way.
Yeah, I am impressed. But the one thing I will say is, folks, if the light is orange, and normally in Kansas, I'll turn left on the orange, right? If I'm in the turn lane.
Yeah.
In Tennessee, I won't do that because they're coming through the red light.
Yes.
I've just found that too many times. They're coming through the red light. My first accident here in Tennessee, I've had two. Neither of them were my fault. The first accident was I was the third person through the green light when I was hit. The third person.
Amazing.
I'm just glad I was in a truck and the second person was in a little Miata. If they had been hit, it was a big Dodge with a big brush guard on it. He was looking at his phone, I think, and he just ran straight through the red light. I'm the third car through. If that Miata, he would have just squished that into one of those smart cars. That's all would have been left of that one. So, folks, don't turn left on yellow and pay extra attention when you're crossing, even on a green, because somebody else isn't paying attention.
Yes.
But apart from that, if that's the only negative I've got, I'm pretty happy with Middle Tennessee.
So one last thing for anybody who's not in Middle Tennessee, when you come here, get a couple fans for your garage, because if you spend any time in your garage whatsoever in the summer, in order to keep you alive, have those fans going. Otherwise, they'll find you in your garage in a pool of sweat and you'll be dead. That's
right. I do like the mesh doors that hang down from your garage door that keep all the flies and stuff out too. That is very true. Hey, Dan, thanks so much for being on the show. Look forward to our longer conversation. So folks, be on the lookout for that. It'll be the Edward Show. Dan and I are trying to schedule that right now. And we will talk as long as it takes, break it up into half hour or so. And I think you will enjoy listening to Dan. If you have any interest in business or sales or human psychology and interaction based on the knowledge that Dan has, it's just incredible. And I'm so excited for that, Dan. Thanks again. And we'll catch you on the flip side.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
We can say flip side. Yeah. See ya.
This is is the Nashville 2 podcast with your host, Edward Fox.